Donald Trump, it's a little bit different for a president to host a draft. 2 years is an eternity in American politics. And so what will Donald Trump's popularity be at that time? Is the NFL sticking its neck out a little bit here? Daniel Snyder era in Washington is over. Blessedly, certainly on the short list of worst owners in NFL history. And with him out of the way, things may be starting to look up. Obviously, Jaden Daniels, a huge component in this.
And now, a man who once got caught between the moon and New York City. It's Ricky Cobb.
Oh yeah, you sweet bastards. I know it's crazy, but it's true. On a Monday morning here in Chicago, I'm Ricky Cobb, and this is the Ricky Cobb Show. And I welcome you to another week of fun festivities here on this program. We got a lot of tweets for you and a lot of other good things in store. But let's begin today with the NFL Draft. The news just dropping. The NFL Draft is coming to Washington, D.C. in 2027. Amazingly enough. You know, it was in New York all the way up through 2015. A lot of you may remember Radio City Music Hall was the location, and they started taking it on the road around to different NFL cities. But Donald Trump, apparently, President Trump, instrumental in bringing the NFL Draft to Washington just 2 years from now. And it's an interesting time to be a football fan in D.C. because this is a storied franchise. I speak, of course, of the Washington Commanders, Washington football team, Washington Redskins, which is what we all knew them as through our childhood and adulthood until a few years ago when the name was changed and the team didn't even have a name for a while before they settled on the Commanders. Like a lot of people my age, I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around the name Commanders. But one thing that is becoming clear is that the Daniel Snyder era in Washington is over. Blessedly, according to about 99.98% of the Washington Commanders fan base, per my own unscientific statistical estimations. It has been a rough quarter of a century or so in D.C. What those fans have gone through, what they have dealt with, their team lost its identity. Their team certainly lost its way on the field. Daniel Snyder, arguably the worst worst owner in NFL history, certainly on the short list of worst owners in NFL history. And with him out of the way, things may be starting to look up. Obviously, Jaden Daniels, a huge component in this. The season that they had this year, making it all the way to the NFC second round of the playoffs after knocking off the Buccaneers and going to, Detroit, knocking them off. So you're talking about a team that is on its way to something potentially. I mean, one game away from the Super Bowl. They made it to the NFC Championship game, and there were a lot of people that were rooting for a Jaden Daniels, Josh Allen Super Bowl. Of course, we got the Eagles and the Chiefs instead. But just the fact that Washington football is relevant again is one thing. And now we're talking about the possibility of a new stadium, in fact, coming to D.C. in just a few years. So things on the upswing in Washington, and it's going to continue with the NFL draft being right there in D.C. in 27. Now, look, Donald Trump, it's a little bit different for a president to host a draft. And some people are saying, well, what are things going to look like politically in 2027? What is that going to mean for the NFL being tied to Donald Trump? At least the optics of this is that they're going to be tied to Donald Trump. And we don't know. I mean, 2 years is an eternity in American politics. And so what will Donald Trump's popularity be at that time? Is the NFL sticking its neck out a little bit here, making an association with the president? But the involvement is there, and Washington is certainly on the move in terms of good things happening for them finally after what could only be described as a very long drought in that city, a once proud tradition. Now, if Donald Trump does ruin the draft, or if some people claim that he ruins the draft, it won't be the first time that a draft has been ruined. I remember 1987, for instance, all the way back in 1987. Whoop, whoop. Chris Berman asked himself at the conclusion of the evening if he had done everything that he possibly could to ruin the broadcast. Quietly, look at that draft board, by the way. Check out that number 3 pick. The Boz going to Seattle. Number 3 overall, 19.5 grade. Benny Testaverde, number 1. Cornelius Bennett. How about Rob Woodson? Going 1 pick after Brian Bosworth. It's a fine line, my friends, when you're talking about the NFL draft. But look, I remember when NFL teams, and teams of all sports, in fact, were proud to go to our nation's capital and celebrate with the president. Here's one that I absolutely love. You know, back in the 80s when the Redskins were dominant, take a look at Ricky Sanders right here, catching a dart from Ronald Reagan. Reagan whipping it in there like he was Doug Williams. Look at that. Look at Reagan. And then Sanders just hitting the celebration right there at the White House. One more time. Reagan, look at that. Just on the money. I don't know. Maybe we can get Trump to throw a pass to somebody in 2027. But it takes me back. Takes me back to my childhood. John Riggins, Joe Theismann, Roger Staubach, Tony Dorsett. It's one of the great rivalries in the history of football. Redskins and Cowboys, goddammit. Sounds like 1950s television when every other show was a Western. We got to live it with the NFL of my youth. And I remember these two sweet bastards. And I know I'm not the only one. If you're of a certain age, you remember these guys. Crazy Ray was the Cowboys guy. And what was the Redskins guy? Was he just known as the Chief? Or Chief somebody? I can't remember his name. But Crazy Ray, you can see the guy in the background there wearing a Save Crazy Ray shirt. But those dudes were a big part of it. They always looked like they could be brothers. I used to wonder when I was a child, like, are those guys brothers? No, they were just super fans who became well known.
Z.
You know, you don't have enough of those super fans. What's that, Timmy?
Chief Z.
Okay, there you go. Chief Z. So there you have it. Those guys were absolutely awesome back in the day. And speaking of awesome, Caitlin Clark is back, my friends. How have you felt for these last 200 days or so that we haven't had Caitlin Clark on a basketball court? It's felt like years. I feel like I've been living within a prison. But she is back because last night in Iowa, the Indiana Fever taking on Brazil. And I got to tell you, Caitlin Clark didn't waste any time getting back into form. Pulling up, and what was that? Like is that like a 33-footer? Holy shit. Let's get another look at that. I don't know if I've ever seen her pull up from that far. Do we have an estimation, guys? 36-footer.
She pulled up from the
pulling up
Ricky.
from 36.
It's where she broke the record. There's a marking on the court there, and so she purposely pulled up from there. So when she broke the scoring record at Iowa, they put a little commemorative kind of seal right there, and so that's where she pulled up from.
Yeah, actually
So
3 feet,
was
even
this-
3 feet past that, Ron, even further past it. Yeah. Yep.
So now they're gonna have to redecorate their court. Is that what you guys are telling me?
They're just going to slide the decal 3 feet.
Yeah. All right. Well, move that decal back. Look, I don't know who Brazil sent, Ron, but I don't think that they sent their finest because the Fever beat Brazil 118-44. No, 108-44. I'm sorry. I don't want to create the impression that Brazil got blown out by more points than they did. 108-44. Who exactly did they send? Here.
Yeah. Brazil's a soccer country, so I wouldn't put a whole lot of faith in who they're sending for basketball.
This is the Indiana. They lost by, what did they lose by? 64 points to a team that barely made the WNBA playoffs. What does that equate to as a college team? You think that this Brazil team would have had any chance to make the women's NCAA tournament?
Oh gosh, no. No chance. No chance.
I mean, good Lord. All right. Well, I was just looking, I realized that the Fever were going to win. Brazil was probably playing the role of the Washington Generals. But still, having said that, Ron, I was looking for some degree of competition, but apparently Brazil is challenged in the women's basketball department. Look, Ron, I think that Caitlin Clark is going to win the MVP this year. I've said that before on this program. I mean, she looks like $1 million. Did you see her? The muscles that we haven't seen from her before. She got pushed around some as a rookie, coming in. And again, with the WNBA, as a rookie, you are at a disadvantage that you, quite frankly, are not at if you're a rookie in the NBA.
Yeah, because you just played college.
Just coming off of you're coming off of your traditional season, and the women's college season is almost as long as their pro season. So you're talking about Caitlin Clark playing 35 or so games last year, whatever Iowa played, and then she is right into her professional career starting. And she's going in there, and Gino Auriemma, nobody, and Taurasi for that matter. As much as I've clowned Taurasi for her bad take and Gino for his for that matter, there was a reason that they had some reservations about how she was going to do as a rookie. And I think the fact that she was coming in after a full season probably it harmed her chances last year of coming in and absolutely destroying. Well, now she has had an entire offseason to reflect on where she needs to improve, where she feels that she wasn't quite ready, because we saw how much she improved as the season went on last year, Ron. She got stronger and stronger, even though we might think, well, she's going to tire out by the time she gets to the end of this. She's never played 80 games in a year before, and that's what she ended up doing, playing in excess of 80 games. She played functionally an NBA season last year, and she was getting stronger at the end of the year. So if you think her going and working out like a maniac for an entire offseason isn't going to level her up again, I would say that you're very mistaken about that.
You talk about her strength now, and the thing to me that was so impressive about that shot is she didn't heave it. She actually shot it. Like, that was a shot.
Yeah.
It wasn't a push. It wasn't a heave. It was a shot. That's crazy to shoot from that distance, men or women.
Look, we had a graphic at one point last year that her average three-point attempt was longer than Steph Curry's average three-point attempt. So she's no stranger to pulling up 28. 28 feet is nothing for her. That's normal. So she was about 8 feet back from where you would expect her to pull up and not even blink an eye. So she continues to be a marvel. She continues to be a unicorn. And I think this year she is really going to go out there and she is going to absolutely light that league on fire. Speaking of lighting it on fire, you're going to like this one, Ron, because Sherrone Moore, Michigan's head coach, is expected to suspend himself for 2 games. Ronnie, it all stems back to the Connor Stallions story. Michigan with the allegations that we know were made against them, spying on other teams. Ronnie, I know that it's hard for you to have a hot take on Michigan, but I'm going to ask you to do the impossible and criticize the maize and blue.
Okay, so what an absolute clown show up there. So they're self-imposing, which means they're guilty, right? They know they did something wrong, and so they're trying to make it so the NCAA is like, oh, okay, you've already punished yourself, so we won't. But here's the kicker, Ricky. You just said he suspended himself for 2 games. Do you know what 2 games they are? Not the first 2 games. They're not. So the opener, he's coaching against New Mexico. And then, he's going to also coach against Oklahoma in the second game. And then he's going to suspend himself for Central Michigan and Nebraska. Like, come on, man.
I thought that, Ron, first thing, games 3 and 4. It's like we're so concerned about this. We're so guilty. We're going to self-impose a suspension on our coach against 2 teams that you or I could go and coach Michigan to a victory in.
Right.
Ron and Harbaugh did it too, right, Ron, with his 4 games?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember
integrity here.
I don't remember if he kind of cherry picked who he was gonna suspend himself for, but this is just, I mean, this is embarrassing. Like if this is something you really felt strongly about, then do the first who suspends themselves, but we're gonna wait for game 3 and 4. Is that okay with you? We'll do that.
Look, if you're doing it, are you doing it for optics? Is this like, hey, NCAA,
well,
we take this so seriously?
Yeah, they dropped the ball.
We got conflicting optics here.
Yeah.
Because what you're telling me is you're just jumping through a hoop, really. We don't we're going to do this, but we're going to do this in the way that is the absolute least problematic for our football team. Is what we're going to do.
Yep. Yeah, Harbaugh did the same thing. East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green, and Rutgers. East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green, and Rutgers. There you go, Harbaugh.
Tim.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we shouldn't be so cynical, gentlemen. I mean, Michigan is, after all, self-imposing this. Their upstanding institution would never tolerate anything less than impeccable integrity, obviously, and setting out against Central Michigan, did you say it is, Ron? And
Central
Nebraska.
Michigan. Yeah, Nebraska.
Yeah. Nebraska still sounds good on paper, but not so good in actual practice. The Clippers got blown out last night. Clippers and Nuggets in a Game 7 situation, and as we know last week, Game 7s were the why not runaway winner. Everybody likes a Game 7, except for James Harden, apparently. Playoff struggles for the beard. And I think we have a little something to throw up here that indicates the problems that he has had in elimination games. This is actually the 4th Game 7 that he has lost in the playoffs with 4 different teams. But look at his last 5 elimination games, 3 of which are Game 7s. And look, it's a small sample size. I'm always a little bit loath to criticize guys for small sample size statistics. Because you look at this and you say, okay, this is just 5 games. I remember when they used to say that Barry Bonds couldn't hit in the playoffs. Some of you motherfuckers out there remember that because he had some rough NLCSs back in the early 90s. And so the narrative was Barry Bonds can't hit in the playoffs. And then he went out in the 2002 World Series and went absolutely fucking nuts for the Giants. But we know what James Harden can do. The guy's a former MVP, but look at these.
Look at the 3-point shooting and the turnovers, dude. That's kind of egregious.
Yeah. 2 of 8 last night. 8 shots is all that he got off. 2 of 8. 5 of 16 last year as they were eliminated by the Mavericks. 3 of 11 as they were as he was beaten by Boston. 4 of 9 before that. 5 of 17 going back 4 years. I mean, you do the math on that. Those are some real eggs that have been laid by James Harden. However you want to look at it, you can say that it's just fate, it's bad luck. I'm not a huge believer that elite athletes choke. I think some guys are more clutch than others, as we've talked about in the MJ LeBron debate and whatever. I think some guys have the clutch gene. I don't generally think that Hall of Fame caliber athletes throw up on themselves in the playoffs. I doubt James Harden is getting out of bed on the day of a Game 7 or an elimination game
and nervous.
and he's jittery and nervous. Shit happens sometimes, but the record is what it is. Whatever the reason is for it, that is not a resume for James Harden to be proud of.
They have medicine,
Shedeur
Ricky, for
Sanders.
that small sample size problem you referenced. They do have pills for that.
Well, do they? Well, there you go. It's not the size of the sample, it's how you use it, fellas.
As far as I'm concerned, you randomly kidnapping folk and you throwing them out of the country against their civil rights, against their constitutional rights. And frankly, how would they feel if some other country decided that they were going to just start throwing people randomly in our country? Like that is absolutely insane. So yes, all I gotta say is y'all need to get these fools out of here. But
can't imagine if that would happen.
Jasmine Crockett, Democrat from Texas. Some call her the voice of the Democratic Party today. Could you imagine? How would you feel, Ron, if a bunch of people from other countries just started coming into our country?
I get it. I mean, I had literally never thought about this. Never thought about this before. And I saw that video.
How would we feel?
Makes a good point. I'd be outraged, Ricky.
You can't make it up, Ron. You can't make it up. I don't know what about her offends me the most. Isn't she Ivy League educated?
It's her code switching. It's her code switching that drives me insane. No, she went to a private high school in St. Louis.
Listen to her.
She is so
Listen to her
so
from a
educated.
few years ago.
Yeah.
Where did she go to college?
I don't know where she went to college. I don't know. I just know she went to a private high school.
Somebody tell me where she went to college. She didn't go to the School of Hard Knocks, which is what she tries to make it sound like is her alma mater every time she speaks. Yeah. Fake as fuck.
Yep.
But I don't know that she's faking the stupidity. She's faking the persona. Because if you go back and look at her from a number of years ago, you wouldn't think that it was the same person.
All girls Catholic high school, Catholic high school, a country day school before that, and Rhodes College.
Okay.
Rhodes in Memphis, great school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Not an Ivy Leaguer, but somebody who went to a fine institution of higher learning.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And she chooses to talk like she's, just uneducated.
Well,
and that is a choice. That is a strategic choice to appeal to people and be cool, I think. But is she choosing to be such an idiot that she can't see what she just said is ironic?
Or is she so smart, Ricky, that she knows that the people that are on their side that they tend to eat this up, and they actually hear it and they're like, yeah. You see, we ironically are doing that. And I think that the people that like her
winning over.
She's not winning over.
The Democrats
she's not winning over anybody.
We're going to have to figure out at some point. Yeah.
Just enhancing the people.
You're not winning anybody. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the people that feel that way are already going to vote the way that they're going to vote. She's not going to appeal to any independents with that kind of talk. Imagine. Can you imagine just sending them to another country? Imagine if that happened here. You can't.
Hey, how about this, Ricky? Hey, so you know what I love? I love the fact that these people, that they believe that people that broke the law to come into our country have constitutional rights. Do they?
Well, she has said before, she's on the record saying that it's not a crime.
Oh, that is
to
true.
Come here illegally. That is another Jasmine Crockett quote.
Let me knock her door down, walk into her house, grab some snacks out of the fridge, then just go lay on her couch. Let's see if she thinks that's a crime.
Due process too, Ron.
She does, Ron.
Yeah, she does, Ron. Due process is not guaranteed in the Constitution either. Due process is not.
No, it's not, Tim.
Yeah.
Nope. But these people just say stuff.
She's the leader of the Democrats, according to some.
Hey, let her cook.
How old is she?
Right?
Is she old enough that will she be able to run for president in 2028? AOC is going to be old enough. Is she old enough? Will she be old enough? Man, listen, for all the jokes that we've made, we might be praying that Stephen A. Smith is on that debate stage in 2028. Right?
Yeah, bro, she's older than you realize.
Illinois is an open primary state. I might vote in the Democratic primary just so I can vote for Stephen A. Smith, because I know that Stephen A.'s IQ is at least above average.
She's 44. She's 44, ready to go.
She's
okay.
Damn. All right, I will say, looking pretty damn good for 44. Let's be honest.
Hell yeah.
I had her pegged for younger than that. I wasn't even sure she was 35. She's 44 years old.
Would.
Is she really 44 years old? Like, I'm having trouble believing. Well, I'll tell you what.
Nothing could be fine.
She's doing something right.
Would.
Give her that much. Well, I didn't say that.
I did. No, I did. Would.
Oh, yeah. Well, Ron, you're married, Ron. You and I are in committed monogamous relationships. I'm not. I'm just suggesting hey, look, she's wrong about everything. She looks great for 44. Because on this show, we call balls and strikes. Yes. All right? This is a fair program, regardless of what anybody else says. It's so fair that I give you your moment in the spotlight every show, Ron, when I ask you, what the fuck, Ron?
All right, Ricky, we've been going to Europe quite a bit last week. We're going to stay home this week, and we're going to go to Prospect Park, Pennsylvania, and a lady named Christina. Well, she's no lady, by the way. After you see this, she's no lady. Christina Solometto. She got in trouble, and Ricky, you are never going to believe why she got in trouble. Let's roll the tape.
Can you tell us what happened?
The lady chased me. She chased me and I asked her not to attack me.
That is 44-year-old Christina Solometto being put into a Prospect Park police car. But you may know her by this, now viral video. Police say the Ridley Park mother is the woman seen getting out of her car and, yes, defecating on the hood of the car of another woman. She's seen getting right back into her black Nissan we saw parked outside of her home tonight.
They were both headed in the same direction. They both lived not far from one another. And the woman in the dark colored car thought the woman was following her, where she was actually just going home.
The incident happened Tuesday evening near the corner of 4th and Madison, a half a block away from a Little League field where the Delco defecator video has left some neighbors speechless.
I don't know. It's been running through my...
Ricky.
Well,
she wasn't
actually
I want you to
being
hear,
followed. Somebody was just trying to go home.
Amongst the charges...
The Delco defecator. So there were some charges, but the greatest charge out of the, I think, 3 or 4 that she got. You ready? Depositing waste on a highway.
I'm sure. Oh my God. So she shit.
It was a shit and run. It was a shit and run, Ricky.
It was a shit and run. She shit on the lady's car because she thought the lady was following her, but the lady was just going home.
Explosive diarrhea, Ricky. Explosive diarrhea.
Imagine.
Not shit.
Was the other lady... Okay, listen, help me here. Was the other lady in her car while the other lady shat on the car? Or did she shit on the car?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
But think about this. She had it in the chamber ready.
That's... to do that on command, you know?
Is this the most WTF of all my WTFs?
This is on the short list of the most WTF moments in the history of the program. Yes, it most definitely is. She had it in the chamber.
Hey, imagine this scene. She's in jail. Somebody looks at her, says, "Hey, what are you in here for?" And she says, "Depositing waste on a highway."
I shat on a car.
I'm sorry, what?
I don't.
The video is really gross, man.
I
People may
don't-
not want to approach her in jail. It was pretty gross.
Oh, it was.
So there is. So the uncensored version is out
Oh.
there, is what you're telling
Oh,
me.
yeah.
I'll send you a video after the show where you can actually see it.
It's an oil slick.
It's like one girl, one car. I don't know.
Hey, OutKick fans on YouTube, if you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and make your way over to OutKick.com where you can watch the full episode.